I believe it was GearBest. But it is, once you get the box, if you look at the box, it says in the box Star Wars, TIE Fighter, it says Disney. I'm not sure if it's been officially licensed. I think they were planning to officially license it, but it doesn't look like the way it's being advertised now that they received that official licensing. But they are selling it. It is, if you look at it, yeah, it's a pretty good close representation of the Darth Vader's fighter ship. If you look at it, it's pretty dang cool. It's got 4 propellers here, obviously, to operate it and fly it. I did some flights in the house. This works great in the house, by the way, but also I want to see how it performs outside. It's a basic quadcopter. It has flips and rates, and also it does have headless modes if you press both of these buttons here. But other than that, you know, it's just a very basic quadcopter. It is powered by a generic 350 milliamp hour battery, you know, micro quadcopter size battery. But the thing is, this battery compartment is just a little bit too small for that battery. To actually plug in the battery cables, you actually need to run them outside, and I'll show you how here in a second here, just before we do the flight. But let's go over the quadcopter closely. You know, one thing I forgot to mention, it does have LED lights here in the front, and on the top here, it looks like there's somebody actually inside there while flying it, so that makes it look cool, especially when flying indoors or in the dark. The controllers here, you can adjust the trim by pressing this button here and bumping up the trim until it looks good, and then pressing the button to stop it. You can adjust the flips. You can do a flip by pressing this button here and telling it which direction to flip. You can adjust the rates on the quadcopter, beginner, intermediate, and expert, by pressing this button here. And if you want to enter or exit headless mode, you press both of these top 2 buttons simultaneously, and you'll hear a beep beep, which tells you you are in headless mode. Okay, to get this quadcopter ready for flight, again, I mentioned you just can't jam these cables back in here and close the door at the same time. There's just not enough room. So what I needed to do, and what I recommend that you do, is you slide these cables, these wires, in between the little creases on the door latch, like so. But then you slide the door shut, and you can get it somewhat closed and snapped, but there's still a little bulge there because that battery is just a little bit too long for this quadcopter. But we'll plug in the quadcopter and get ready for flight. Plug in its battery, keeping its battery external to the door, as you see here, making sure that our blades aren't going to touch those wires. And place it on a flat level surface, and turn on the transmitter like so, and bind the transmitter to the quadcopter like so. There, I think we're bound. Yep. Let me show you the lights real quick before we go to flight. You see these 2 lights here, they're flashing, but again, the top also lights up a little bit in the dark. But we are in beginner's rate. Let's see how it flies. Taken to the air. Yeah, it flies like a TIE Fighter. Let's go to the higher rate. Oh, I pressed that, and it gets a little more oomph, especially in the throttle. Now, since this thing, main selling point is its look, I'm not going to go too far with it. Let's try a flip, though, while we got it here. Flip. You got to hold the button down to get it to flip, and it does flip forward and back very well. Let's get it a little closer. How about to the sides? Oh yeah, it does side flips also. But, okay, now let's just fly it around. Okay, let's go to expert rate. Luke, I am your father. No, I'm going to stop that. It's a little nimble quadcopter. I wouldn't think it would be nimble with that design on it, but it's nimble. Pretty neat. Go after it. Go get it. I'll leave the birds alone today. But yeah, very stable. Here, let's go back to beginner's rate. Make it easier to fly. You have to give it a little more throttle at beginner's rate, but it's stable, I'll give you that. little bit of a wind coming from that direction there. Neat little airplane, or quadcopter. Okay, headless mode. Let's try that. I'm going to bump both of these buttons together. Okay, am I in headless mode? No, I guess beep beep means it's out of headless mode. I think the first beep means you entered into headless mode, so let's try that again. Both buttons together. There. That's the headless mode direction there. So yeah, it flies in headless mode too, to the right. That'll make it easier for you to fly it if you're a beginner. Back, left, right, forward is always in that direction there. Okay, coming out of headless mode. Going back to beginner, or we're still in beginner's rate. Let's go to intermediate. Again, the throttle picks up once you enter into intermediate. Intermediate seems to be about the most maneuverable of the flight modes for this. Let me bring it in close. Darth Vader's ship. Yeah, if you guys would see the box that this comes in. It looks like they were getting ready for Christmas with it, you know, to be sell for Christmas. The box is very big, so I got a feeling that the shipping price on this is not going to be free. I didn't look, but the shipping price might be significant because of the box that I've seen that this comes with. And it would make a great Christmas present, especially, you know, with that box. With Star Wars logos and Disney too. But yeah, it's a good flyer. I'm not going far with it. I'm not going to test its range, but I will test one thing. Let's see what happens when we turn off the transmitter. I forgot to do that. Let me bring it upwind a bit, and right there, and 1001, 1002, 1003. It lands itself, so no flyaway issues there. So going back into the air. Turn the transmitter on again, and we're good to go. We're still flying. Well, yeah, I want to go to intermediate. It actually flies very well. That plastic that this is made out of, I gotta admit, it's light. It's very light, and it's surprisingly light for all the structure that's on this thing. So, this does fly well. Let's go up this way. Go around and, well, fly around the trees. I'm gonna fly until the batteries go. Oh, I wanted to see if I could fly through these trees. Obviously not. Okay, let's park it here and take off again. Let's see, do I got more power? I do. Flying up in the sand area. Just varying the view here, folks. Damn, that's a lot of flight time on this thing. And especially that it uses generic batteries, you'll be able to fly this for quite some time. But I do recommend giving this a cool-off period in between flights. So you don't burn out your motors. A lot of new folks make the mistake of, they buy extra batteries and they do back-to-back-to-back flights. And then they go, oh, my motor's burned out. Why did that happen? Well, you don't give the motors enough time to cool down. That's why that happens. So if you get a quadcopter and you get spare batteries, you need at least 10, or about 15 minutes of cool down period between flight to prevent motor burnouts. Don't do back-to-back flights, folks. That will burn out just about any brushed motor quadcopter if you do such. Boy, it's got a long flying time. Yeah, great Christmas present, this one. I like this one. This one's fun. Where's the Death Star? Gotta protect it. Cool, huh? Cool. Any more power for a flip? Yeah, a little bit. Still got some power. But that probably burned it out. Oh, it's getting sluggish now. And there we go. Darth has given up. Okay, again, that's the TIE Fighter, Star Wars TIE Fighter. Really cool. I liked it. Hope you enjoyed this flight. This is Quadcopter 101, signing out.